Tonight, I'm going to share a story that still gives me chills whenever I think about it. This story was sent to me by a listener. Before we begin, take a deep breath, because what happened to these friends on a lonely mountain road is something none of them will ever forget. This happened back in 2015. At that time, I was a university student, living in a hostel in a large city. I had 4 roommates. Over time, we became very close friends. One of us had a car, and every now and then on weekends, we would go on road trips, sometimes to the mountains, sometimes to remote northern areas. Since we were students, we all contributed a small amount of money so that the expenses would be shared. Fuel, food, hotel, everything. Life was simple back then. But one weekend, something happened that none of us were prepared for. Our usual plan was simple. We would leave the city Saturday evening, drive through the night, reach the mountains, find a small hotel, sleep there, then explore the area the next day. And by evening, we would drive back to the hostel. That night, we decided to go somewhere deeper into the mountains, a place tourists rarely visited. We calculated our budget carefully. Fuel money, food money, emergency cash, everything. Then we started the journey. The night was cold, dark, and incredibly silent. At first, the road was normal, but after about 2 hours, we entered the mountain roads. Anyone who has traveled through mountain highways at night knows the feeling. Deep valleys on one side, dark mountains on the other, and far away, small scattered lights from villages. The view was beautiful, but also strangely unsettling. Soon, the road became almost empty. We stopped seeing other vehicles. Sometimes, after 10 or 15 minutes, a bus or a van would pass, but mostly, we were alone, just our car and endless darkness. Behind us, the only visible thing was the red glow of our tail lights. Everything else was swallowed by the night. Then something strange happened. The road became steeper, much steeper. Our car started struggling. The engine was roaring, but the car was barely moving. Finally, we reached a sharp turn. The driver said, "Everyone get out. I'll try to push the car up the slope." So we stepped outside, and when I looked down the side of the mountain, my heart nearly stopped. The drop was terrifying. If the car slipped, it would disappear into darkness. No one would ever find it. We pushed the car with all our strength. Finally, it made it past the turn. But something wasn't right. The engine sounded weak. The car felt heavy, almost like it had lost its strength. One of my friends said, "Let's stop and check the engine." But when we stepped out of the car, we froze. There was nothing around us. No houses, no lights, no people. Just mountains, dark mountains, and absolute silence. Even though we were 5 people, we felt uneasy. So we made a mistake. Instead of checking the car, we decided to keep driving, hoping we would reach a village soon. But that decision was the worst mistake of the night. Just a few minutes later, the car died, completely. The engine refused to start. When we opened the hood, smoke was rising from inside. One of my friends whispered, "This looks bad." Now we had no choice. We were stuck, in the middle of nowhere, on a mountain road, at night. So we sat on the roadside, waiting, hoping a vehicle might pass. Maybe someone could help. But minutes passed, then hours. No cars, no trucks, no motorcycles, nothing. The silence was so deep that even a small sound from far away could be heard clearly. Then, we heard something. At first, it was faint, very faint, like someone walking on rocks, slow footsteps, coming from the slope above the road. We all looked at each other. Our hearts started beating faster. Someone whispered, "Do you hear that?" Yes, we all heard it. Footsteps. Someone was coming down the mountain. But the darkness was too thick. We couldn't see anything. We turned on our phone flashlights, pointing them everywhere, but still, nothing. One of my friends shouted, "Who's there?" Instantly, the footsteps stopped. Complete silence. Whoever it was had heard us and stopped moving. Then, after a few seconds, the footsteps started again. This time, closer, much closer. A small rock rolled down the slope. Now we were certain. Someone was approaching us. My friend shouted again, "Who are you?" And that's when we heard it. A strange voice. Not normal, not clear. Like someone struggling to speak, or someone imitating human speech. The sound alone was enough to freeze our blood. We aimed our lights toward the trees, and then we saw him. Behind a tree stood a man. He was wearing simple traditional clothes, but something about him felt wrong. His posture, his silence, his slow movements. He stepped forward slightly, trying to speak, but his voice came out broken, almost like stuttering. We couldn't understand his words. After a few moments, he finally managed to explain. Using gestures and broken speech, he told us something. He lived on the mountain. His house was nearby, and if we wanted, we could spend the night there. In the morning, he would help us find a mechanic. At that moment, he felt like a miracle. In the middle of nowhere, someone offering help. So we agreed. He started walking. We followed him, climbing the mountain behind the road. He moved easily, like someone used to the terrain, but we were exhausted, breathing heavily. After a long climb, we reached the top, and there stood a small stone house, old, very old. He opened the door and told us to come inside. Then, without saying much, he disappeared into the darkness, leaving us alone inside that house. The room was dim. There was no electricity, only moonlight coming through cracks in the wall. On the floor, old carpets were spread out. But something else caught our attention. In the corner of the room, there was a very long wooden bed, and someone was lying on it, covered with a blanket, sleeping. We looked at each other. None of us had noticed him before. Then suddenly, the person on the bed started coughing. A deep, creepy cough. And at that moment, all of us felt the same thing. Something about this place was very wrong.